Welcome to March 2020. We're such a resilient industry, and again, we tackle whatever gets thrown at us. During the past couple of weeks, we've witnessed, again, just how strong we are when we work together. I'm Rob Covino, and this is Mirus Industry Analysis, February edition. So over the February period, average daily subsidy did see an increase across all three segments. We saw the industry now traveling just below 179 still, but it was up 49 cents over the February period. This is made up by largely the private operators leading, up 50 cents to 187.97, and the not-for-profits up just under 50 cents to 175.94. With the occupied bed data over the February period, we did see the industry now traveling just around 90.5%, and this was up 0.37 over the February period. That was made up largely by the not-for-profits at 90.7%, and the private operators still just below 90% of occupied bed days, but up 0.7% over that February period. Staying with occupancy for a minute, we've been having conversations with our clients about the increased activity of short-time stay residents within their facilities. We looked at this trend over a 3 horizon, and what we saw is that the percentage of residents that have a length of stay below 6 months is now on an increasing trend to over 28.5%. This is returning back to levels of December of 2018. So now we're 3/4 of an increasing trend with short-time stayers. If we also then look at the cohort of the residents within care over the same period, we can see that there's really 2 halves to this equation. Residents for one half are actually staying between 1 year or less, and then if the resident makes it to 1 year or more, then we're seeing those residents stay for 2 to plus 4 years in this equation. So as you continue to look at your strategies for managing residents and manage the activities, we'll continue to monitor these trends as they develop within the industry. If we expand further on the occupancy changes and the short-time stayers, we can see some of the impacts on overall claiming activity. So the not-for-profits still were traveling at 8% of all claims being submitted to the system, with the private operators coming backwards just slightly, 0.34%, but the overall industry submitted 8.5% of their entire claims over the February period. If we unpack the voluntary claims within the total claims, we can see that the not-for-profits actually led at 3.4% of voluntary claims happening over the February period. This brought the industry to up just about 0.5% to 3.38 over that same period. So with January being a low voluntary claiming month, and by low we had all 3 cohorts performing below 3%, this has led to a growth in the claims that are older than 12 months. So with that, all 3 segments did increase, with the private operators jumping the most to 29.6%, or up 1.64% over the February period. As an overall industry though, 35.79% of all claims in the system are now greater than 12 months, and that is a 1.4% increase over that period. If we turn our attention to the changes of residents between new versus departed ACFIs, we did see the not-for-profits tighten up their change to $28.12 over the February period. This was down about 20 cents over that period, where the private operators grew about $1 to 26.24. As an overall industry though, the average resident from new ACFI to departed is traveling now at $27.58, which is slightly up over that period of February. If we look into the ACFI and specifically the complex healthcare domain, we saw some increasing trends in the 4B claiming over the period as well. All 3 segments have increased slightly to an overall industry of 51.77% of claims in the system now having a 4B attributed. That was up just over 0.5% over this period. And within that, the not-for-profits are at 50.6%, and the private operators still leading at 54.4% of all claims in Medicare having a 4B. Turn our attention to the pressure care claim, which is procedure 5 within complex healthcare. We did see a consistent growth across all 3 cohorts. The not-for-profits and the private operators both increased just under 0.25%, and the overall industry is now traveling at 38.44% of all claims in Medicare having a procedure 5 attributed to it. Please keep an eye out for the Raw series coming from Mirus. This is an opportunity to better understand how future-ready you and your organization is. And finally, please check the link for the LASA mentoring program, which launches in April. This program will focus on leadership development of current and emerging leaders across our industry. Thank you for joining us this month. I'm Robert Covino, and this has been Mirus Industry Analysis February edition.